Wonder Woman 3 has been canceled. Henry Cavill is no longer going to be Superman. Black Adam 2 has been canceled. Jason Momoa is no longer Aquaman and he's going to be playing Lobo. All of that is coming up in the multiverse of movies. Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 is not moving forward as DC movies hit a turning point. Now, the Hollywood Reporter in this entire article, bro, we got to break it down. So we're going to read it first, then I'm going to let you guys know my personal perspective on all of this. But right now, us Snyder fans, the Snyderverse right now does not look like it's in a good position. So we're going to read this, and it says, new DC Studios heads James Gunn and Peter Safran are in the final stages of prepping their multi-year plan for ahead of next week's pivotal presentation to Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav. Call it DC Rebirth or DC Genesis, maybe call it Identity Crisis or Flashpoint. These titles of past DC Comics events series apply, describe the slate of Warner Bros. DC movies which are on a cusp of a new era, but not before a potentially messy transition period. Uh, Let's see. A cleaning of the slate is common when a new executive team is put in a place to run a studio or division, but there is likely little precedent for the amount of Clorox James Gunn and Peter Safran could spray as they prepare to launch DC Studios and guide superhero movies for the next half decade and beyond. The duo in recent days flew back to Los Angeles from the snowy city of Aspen, Colorado, where they huddled in deep planning and now, like holy figures coming down on a mountaintop, have sets of commandments or a DC Bible in hand, or at least a working blueprint. Gunn and Safran are expected to meet next week with David Zaslav, the Warner Bros. Discovery CEO, who is radically reshaping the media company and who hired the duo in October to lead a newly launched film and TV division. Of course, that is DC Studios. The pair will unveil to Zaslav a plan that is expected to lay out their vision. Although much of their plan, which insiders paint as still a work in progress and one that has yet to be approved, is being kept deep in the Batcave. Details of several possible paths forwards are trickling out, and at least one path not being taken has also been revealed. Multiple sources tell the Hollywood Reporter that Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 is not, hear this out, not moving forward and is considered dead on its current incarnation. Before we read the rest of it, just want to say Gal Gadot put out this tweet December 6th. Right now it is December 7th as we're making this video, but on December 6th, she put out a tweet saying, a few years ago, it was announced that I was going to play Wonder Woman. I've been so grateful for the opportunity to play such an incredible, iconic character, and more than anything, I'm grateful for you, the fans. Can't wait to share her next chapter with you. And of course, here's a picture of her Wonder Woman in the first Wonder Woman movie. Just wanted to point that out before we go on with the rest of this article. Sources say that Jenkins recently submitted her treatment co-written with Jeff Johns and Gunn, and that Gunn and Safran, as well as Warner Bros. Pictures co-chairs and co-CEOs Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdi, broke the news to the filmmaker, telling her the project as it stood did not fit in with the new but still unfolding plans. Jenkins directed and co-wrote the previous two movies starring Gal Gadot and released in 2017 and 2020. No decision has been made about the next steps, and while costs are not a factor, insiders say that DC Studios will not have an burdensome financial restrictions. The studio could end up saving tens of millions of dollars by not making the third installment. Gadot, according to sources, was on track for a $20 million payday for Wonder Woman 3, while Jenkins would have received $12 million. Those figures don't include any possible back-end bonuses. And then Warner's had no comment, by the way. It is unclear how any future Wonder Woman movie and Gadot's portrayal of the hero would fit into the new DC plan. In a bit of head-scratching timing, Gadot tweeted out the blue and sorry if I'm messing up. Blue out of a thank you to fans on Tuesday, saying she was grateful to be allowed to play the heroine, a role model, adding, of course, we already read the tweet, which is right here. The rest of the DC slate remains in flux, or at least kept deep in a pocket of Gunn's own utility belt, but there are several rumors and possible scenarios to consider ahead of next week's meeting. The first, which builds on the shuttering of Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3, is the closing curtain of the Snyderverse and heroes cast by filmmaker Zack Snyder for his Justice League. This one sees the shutting down of... Okay, before we get into that, I gotta give you guys my thoughts on the Wonder Woman 3. I'm going to go real quick into them because I want to break them down. I loved the first Wonder Woman movie. I've loved Gal Gadot's character. I loved her Wonder Woman. I loved her Princess Diana in Batman vs Superman. Zack Snyder's Justice League, her own solo movie. Wonder Woman 83, or not 83. Wonder Woman 84 was a downward step. It was not a good step. But I said from the beginning, I believe Patty Jenkins is going to come in and make a better Wonder Woman film. I feel like the reception to Wonder Woman 84 would motivate her. But obviously we're not going to see that. And I know people are choosing to be mad. I get it. But I'll say this right now. I trust the process. I trust James Gunn. I trust Peter Safran. And as much as I love Gal Gadot's iteration of the character, at the end of the day, I want to let James Gunn create his stories. I want James Gunn to control this universe. And part of that is allowing him to make the difficult decisions for DC. There's a reason why you hire him. Now let him put his vision. And to me, this is a big W. Now, it does now raise questions. But ultimately, this doesn't mean this is the end of Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, by the way. All this means right now, as it stands, just as it stands, is that this is the end of Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman franchise. Like this, there won't be a last hurrah. Patty Jenkins is not going to be making Wonder Woman 3. That's as far as we know. This is what we got. But anyways, let's read the rest. The first, or wait, hold on. This one sees the shutting down of Man of Steel 2 with the returning Henry Cavill and having no more Aquaman fronted by Jason Momoa. Now, this next thing is going to prove that apparently Jody's Corner scoop was right. I made a video on it commentating how he said that he had sources telling him that Jason Momoa is out as Aquaman and he's going to be playing Lobo. He did apparently his sources actually were correct. I'll give him. I hate scoopers. I hate the scoop game, but I'll give you props when you deserve props. So Jody, whoever your sources are, big W on you. Not big W on you, but big W on your sources and you being able to get the information. And you could also say that early November, that clip of Jason Momoa saying that he's excited for DC, that he was just given the best news of his entire career. I guess now that meant that he got the job as Lobo. I'm assuming that's what it means now. But anyways, and of course we know earlier this year, a couple months ago, it was confirmed that there was going to be a second Superman movie with Henry Cavill on board. Even Henry Cavill putting out a tweet saying, or not tweet, but it was an Instagram post saying, "Hey guys, I'm happy to be back. Of course, Black Adam's just a tease. There's more to come." I don't know what this means now. Apparently, the Man of Steel 2 is not happening. Because remember, Man of Steel 2 was announced way before James Gunn and Peter Safran took charge. But anyways, these characters are to cameo in Flash, the highly anticipated time travel adventure movie that is due to release June 16. Cavill shot his part of his cameo in September, but sources say there's a debate inside the studio as whether or not to keep the cameo, and if its inclusion promises something that studios would have no plans on delivering. A Warner's insider cautions that no plans have been finalized and that Flash remains an unlocked picture. The Cavill situation is more than a little thorny, as the actor made a cameo in Black Adam, the DC-centric movie released in October. The Monday after the movie opened, Cavill posted a video on Instagram where he announced, "I wanted to make it official, I'm back as Superman." And at the time, he was not incorrect. Warner Bros. Was indeed developing a sequel for 2013's Man of Steel and actively meeting with writers. Andy Muschietti, who directed Flash, even expressed interest in sitting behind the camera for something that would have brought a tone similar to the hopeful and heroic colors of the 1978 movie directed by Richard Donner, considered a benchmark in comic book movies. In fact, the current leadership team at Warner Bros. Picture, Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdi, did desire one more go-around of the Snyderverse heroes, possibly even having another Justice League movie with those actors. So this is confirmation that there were conversations that Snyderverse... I mean, I guarantee you those conversations were always going to be there, where you ask when you first take charge of these characters, you're going to have to wonder, what do you do next with them? And knowing that the Snyderverse wasn't over, it makes sense that they would at least have the conversation. But anyways, But that was before Gunn and Safran began formulating their new and still in flux plan. Also unlikely is a sequel to Black Adam, despite the hype surrounding. By the way, this my video that I made literally a couple hours ago aged poorly. Although then again, I never confirmed it. What I said was Seven Bucks Production already had plans for Black Adam 2. But let's read the rest. Movies of launching a new corner in DC. A lot of it led by star Dwayne Johnson. The movie has only grossed $385 million worldwide, and insiders at the studio say the movie, which cost more than $190 million to produce, two sources peg the actual cost at $230 million, not including marketing, will be likely to even break even considering ancillary revenue. Even if the movie does eke out of minimal profit, any follow-ups, inherent rising costs dim the prospect of a sequel. Johnson hoped to carve out his own piece of the DC pie, but multiple sources say he's playing up on a returning Cavill, and his own involvement with DC may not be endearing him to new management. Johnson and Cavill are both managed by Danny Garcia, who is also Johnson's producing partner. The perception of Adam turning a profit or not in the conflagration now being waged in public. With Johnson tweeting the movie would net over $50 million after a Variety story said the movie would lose over $50 million theatrically. Mamoa, meanwhile, could emerge as a pivotal figure into the new plans, according to several sources. In one scenario, the actor will wrap up his days as an underwater hero, Arthur Curry, with Lost City, due out December 25th, 2023, which would be the final movie release that was made by the previous regime, but would not spell the end of the actor's involvement with DC. With sources saying the actor would lead another movie or franchise, the character of Lobo, a foul-mouthed cigar-chomping intergalactic bounty hunter, has been mentioned in connection with Momoa. By the way, I'm fine with this one. I'm fine. I love his Aquaman, but to me, I've always believed that Momoa just fit better as Lobo, and it would make me happy if he comes to play Lobo. But all right, let's continue. Whether or not Mamoa does play everyone's favorite Bastich, Lobo emerging as a rising character early in the conversation may point to the kinds of characters the Gunn Safran team may be focusing on. The character is an outsider and anti-hero and is keeping in line with Gunn's specialty of taking off beat and quirky and flipping into the pleasing fare. Part of the plan could entail a truly fresh start and having no baggage from any previous regimes as they set about resetting how DC movies and shows are made. That, however, does not make into the account the possible success of movies such as Shazam! Fury of the Gods, March 17, 2023, on which Safran is a producer, and Blue Beetle, August 18, 2023. Which would plan include forging ahead without the actors who inhabit those characters and recast them even if those movies prove to be box office hits. Observers are convinced the plan calls for an interconnected story universe, and there is rumblings of the establishment of creative brain trust. The brain trust may be already rolling in some capacity, as sources say that Safran had in recent weeks been meeting with writers in his Los Angeles home in an effort to hone the presentation, gathering feedback and ideas for the plan. One part that the Gunn Safran agenda seems likely not to touch, at least for now, is the Matt Reeves Batman universe in which Robert Pattinson dons the cowl of the Caped Crusader. Reeves is writing the sequel to The Batman, which opened on March 4th. The filmmaker is also overseeing the launch of 2 Batman series that spin out of the movie, including The Penguin. But that is it for the article. So to kind of just simplify what is everything that went down. So Wonder Woman 3 got canceled, so Patty Jenkins will not be returning for Wonder Woman 3 as it stands. Aquaman 2 Lost City will more than likely be Momoa's last Aquaman movie, and he will play Lobo. There is not a Man of Steel 2, and Black Adam 2 are not coming up. Now, the big thing that I question is this the end of the Snyderverse? Is there going to be a hard reboot? And honestly, I hope we find out soon. Because one of my issues with DC in the last many years is there's never been a clear, what are we doing? Where's the goal? Where is this all leading to? And I'm not saying you have to be an interconnected universe. Not at all. Just make good movies and that's it. I don't care if a movie's connected to another. Just make good movies. But DC has been this whole big cinematic universe for years, and it's never felt clear where the plan's going. It's never felt like us as the audience, it doesn't feel like we know what the heck is actually going on. And so to me, this is promising for multiple reasons. Number one, I think as a creative, you should be allowed to show your vision. You should be allowed to 1000% be able to take control and allow your vision to be made, you know? And if we truly want James Gunn and Peter Safran to do their best, you got to elevate them. You got to give them the authority. You got to give them the power. If it doesn't work, it doesn't. We'll move on. We'll start over. But James Gunn's a proven filmmaker. The guy is a visionary. The guy is going to allow other filmmakers to tell their stories within his universe. I want this to happen. And as unfortunate as it is, I love Mamoa as Aquaman. I love Cavill as Superman. I love the Snyderverse. You guys know I've been basically promoting the Snyderverse for years on my channel. At the end of the day, I want to allow the creatives to take control, to lead the charge, especially someone like James Gunn, who's a proven filmmaker, not just for Marvel, but also for DC now with the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. Now, this does give me questions, because now this feels like it is a hard reboot, because for years we didn't know if Cavill was going to come back, Affleck was gone, Ezra Miller has his own situation, which we won't even get into, Ray Fisher, obviously, he's had his issues with Warner Bros. The only two main actors of the Justice League that felt like they were secured for the DCEU were Aquaman, Jason Momoa's Aquaman. Everyone loved him. He was a $1 billion hit. And Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. They were the two only secured characters within the Justice League without Zack Snyder. But now, they're gone, as it stands. At least on those roles. Or at least their versions of the characters are gone now. At least from what it seems. Does this mean that they're going to hard reboot? Now, that also means if you are doing a hard reboot, that means the Suicide Squad characters would be erased. Everyone's erased. Blue Beetle's erased. The Flash is erased. So now there's a lot of questions going into this. And I'm not angry. I know there's a lot of people angry. I know there's a lot of people disappointed. But hey, I trust in James Gunn. I'm going to allow time to go by, and I'm going to allow such a filmmaker like James Gunn to tell his visions, to tell his stories, to allow his universe to propel. And I'm going to just be patient. I'm going to trust the process and wait for what the heck is his DCU plan, which we should be able to find out in a couple of months, by the way. Just want to clarify that. And if this is the end of the Snyderverse, as devastating as that is, at the end of the day, I want filmmakers to tell their stories. And I want to see what James Gunn has in plan. Because for all I know, maybe James Gunn's vision is going to be better than Zack's. Now, of course, that's going to be difficult because I love Zack's universe. But I'm at least going to allow James Gunn the opportunity. There's a reason why David Zaslav hired him. There's a reason. Okay? He's not just going to hire James Gunn for no reason. There has to be a reason behind it. He saw something in James Gunn that made him think, oh shit, I got to get him on board. I got to make sure this guy is 1000% committed to DC. I got to make sure this guy's creativity is shown to the rest of the world. That is what a leader does. And I'm excited for it. I know this is the difficult choices, but hey, you're always going to have to make difficult choices. As much as I wanted to see Leslie Grace, as much as I wanted to see her iteration of Batgirl, the unfortunate thing is David Zaslav decided to take the bullet and go with the long-term option by not going with Batgirl and carrying forward and just allowing the DC brand, because the DC brand is in a fragile position right now. The DC brand needs recovery. The DC brand needs help after the years of audiences not trusting DC. You know, whether we want to deny it or not, the Snyder movies were incredibly controversial. Let's not deny that. Like, we can't hide the fact of that. The DC movies, the DC brand was damaged in 2016. And I love BVS. I love Zack Snyder's Justice League. I love Man of Steel. But those are the objective truths. And we need somebody to save DC. Alright? But whatever it is you guys think, you guys are more than welcome to let me know in the comment section down below, whether you agree, disagree, whatever it is, let me know in the comments. As it stands, I'm excited. I trust James Gunn. I hope that this ends up working in the long run. But at the end of the day, I'm going to at least allow him. I'm going to at least allow him to have this opportunity, because there's a reason why he got the opportunity. Not everyone can say that they took charge of all the DC movies. Not anyone can say that. But James Gunn comes in, and I trust him. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.